Hi everyone, welcome to Wool and Spinning. My name is Rachel. This is part of a larger series of reflections that I've been doing this year, and I want to welcome you to this place. Here at Wool and Spinning, we talk a lot about hand spinning, about using our hand spun yarns to create the fabrics that we're looking for, and we talk about all the messy middle and the things that happen in between, from washing and scouring fleece all the way through to fiber preparation to spinning our yarns and then using them. It is wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today, since I know that there is a lot out there that is trying to capture your imagination and capture your attention and your time. And it is wonderful to have you here. If you are curious about learning more about what we do here at Wool and Spinning, please have a look in the down bar at the Start Here guide. That will help you to anchor and ground you in terms of what people come to Wool and Spinning expecting and looking for, as well as sort of a place to start. When I first began teaching fiber arts online, I thought that my role was to explain spinning as clearly as I could. And it's really interesting because over time, I've come to realize that teaching has changed me far more than I expected. And every question, conversation, and experiment that I engage in has deepened my own understanding of fiber in ways that I never could have anticipated. So this month we are going to be talking about what I've learned teaching fiber online and teaching hand spinning online. I have done quite a lot of in-person teaching as well, and you know, for those of you who've been around for a while, you know that I also teach for the Sweet Georgia and have done a lot of online work for them as well. So part of this conversation is not just about my work in podcasting and teaching here on Wool and Spinning and within Patreon. It's also informed by some of these other experiences that I've had over time as well. So people often assume that teachers eventually become experts. And I think that in reality, teaching has really made me a better student. It's given me frameworks to work from to continue my own learning and to continue sharing that learning with you guys. And that is something that often is not talked about. One of the things that has happened for me right from the get-go is that right from that very first podcast episode, when I was trying to explain to everyone who I was, what I was looking for, the fact that my husband was sick of listening to me wax poetic about hand and wanted me to talk to someone else, find anyone else to talk about yarn with, I was really trying to explain what it was that I was doing. Like, I moved my hands in this way. I had this type of prep. It was this type of fiber or wool. It was this type of wheel, and I had it set at these settings. And I tried to be as specific as possible to help others recreate the same yarns if they wanted to. And I think over time I sort of realized that nothing exposes fuzzy thinking faster than trying to explain it. When you're sitting there trying to explain something, you realize almost right away that you're not maybe you haven't as clearly or as fully thought through these thoughts as you thought that you had. And teaching forces clarity. It forces you to explain things in a holistic way using many different senses, not just sight. You have to explain feel and texture, sight and the colors. You have to explain what you're hearing in terms of how the wheel is operating, how the machines, the tools that you use are working. You have to use all your senses. You engage in all of it. And it forces you to explain things from different perspectives, to show what you're doing, to take photos of what you're doing, to explain it, to listen to others and how they would explain things so that you can then try to be more clear in how you're expressing yourselves. It really asks us, do I really understand why this works? Do I really understand what is happening here? Do I understand, and can I relay that information to someone else in a way that they will understand? I ask these questions of myself all the time. I'm working at the loom, for example, and I'll be looking at something and I'll be looking at how something is working or what's happening on the loom. And I will think to myself, why is that happening? And I'll try to work backwards and figure out what's happening. And then I'll think to myself, can I explain this to someone else in a way that they would understand? And I also will ask myself, is that really what's happening here? Because sometimes it's not. Sometimes we kind of go down a rabbit hole and we think that we figured something out, and it's not that at all. And that's something that we often don't realize, is we come at things and we sound expert and we sound like we know what we're talking about. And we've actually taken a right-hand turn somewhere and we've got our logic a little bit mixed up. And we're probably on the right track. We just got a little bit muddied in the water. And that's where community really helps us to clarify, what is it that I'm seeing here? Am I seeing what I'm seeing? And is my understanding of how this is working actually the case, or am I missing something? That helps a huge amount. But as teacher, and often as being cast into that role as expert, it's important to constantly be questioning ourselves if that's really what's happening. I will often say to myself, and this is a trick from some of the mental health education that I've done in my past life as a nurse. Some of the seminars and workshops and stuff that we had to go to, some of the added education, professional development was around mental health and helping people and asking the right questions, especially when you're sitting at triage and at 2 a.m. in Emerge. There's some key questions that you can ask to sort of elicit what's going on. And one of the things that I often ask myself is this: what I'm seeing and what I'm telling myself, is this correct? Is this right? And am I missing something? Or is this story that I'm telling myself, and is this reason for why this is working this way, is that real? Is that correct? And that often helps me to jump to the next batch of experiments, or trying to observe from a different angle, or trying to see something in a different way, to really try to suss out whether or not that's really the case. Every student that I've ever had notices different things. They notice totally different things, and they're all looking at the exact same thing. No two people ask the same questions. Some notice color because they're highly visual. Some people notice twist because they're highly kinetic, and they tend to notice sort of the I don't even know what the right word would be here, in terms of like the people that notice sort of the twist, or how things work, that kinetic learning, that wanting to know how things are put together. Why does the wheel work the way that it works? Some people notice the actual drafting and the actual like motion of what you're doing, and their curiosity expands my own. It helps me to see things in a different light and to come at things a different way. And I often, with some students, I will find they're very focused on one thing and they want help with that one thing. And yet there's other things going on that will help them to resolve that one thing that they're really super focused on. And I think it's really important that we really listen and really try to hear one another about what we're coping with and what we're dealing with. And the more that I interact with others, the more I've noticed that teaching has changed my own practice. I sample more, you guys know that. I observe more. I choose my words more carefully. I really try not to back myself in a corner of absolutes. This is how it is and there's no other way. Right and wrong, black and white. I really try to see the gray and the nuance and the both and part of the conversation. It's made me slower. It's made me more thoughtful. That's huge. I didn't really analyze my yarns, or analyze my process, or analyze my practice, or think very deeply about what I was trying to create, or having an artistic focus, or something that I was working towards. That all has come from teaching. And it isn't about having all of the answers. I literally just said about being in the world of nuance and in the world of gray. I always joke that I see the world through a gray lens. Both and are true, and that has really helped inform me to guide others and ask questions, rather than being expert or having the that this is the way it is, it's rote, and instead being more flexible, being able to pivot, being able to see things from a different perspective. It's about remaining curious enough to keep asking better questions. The question might start with, how do you spin this? But it becomes, What do you like? What have you worked with before that you really liked? What did you want to improve on from your previous hand spun that you've made? What's something that you're looking for? What patterns do you like? Do you want to knit with it? Do you want to crochet with it? Do you want to weave with it? Do you want to make a 2-ply? Do you want to try singles for the first time? Do you want to do a 3-ply? What's the end use? Do you want to make some fabric? Do you want to just play? Do you want to try some textured yarn? Becomes this whole other conversation. And that's really important. And I feel that in my own practice as well. Often I come at something and I'm like, oh, I just want to spin. I just want to make yarn. And then I sort of look at the braid, or I look at what I've pulled out of my stash. Last night it was a braid. I pulled it out and I was like, kind of just want to spin like a really super squishy, bouncy 2-ply. Like I just want to do something that's like the backbone of our hand spinning world, the yarn that we all spin all the time. Just a squishy, poofy, bouncy hand spun 2-ply. And I had pulled out a braid of Rambouillet. It was a one-off. It was club from years ago from Hello Yarn. And it was like, yeah, like that's what I want to do. And then I sat down and sort of started thinking through, like, how do I want to split it up? And how do I want to spin this? I'm going to rewind my singles because it may be spun worsted. Okay, great. What does that look like? What wheel do I want to use? It just becomes a series of questions and a series of inquiry. It's not difficult, but it comes from years and years of observation, years of questioning, and years of talking through that process with others and with people who some have way more knowledge than me, and some who I view as equals in terms of their spinning experience, and then also helping those who are truly beginning and are just getting started on their path. Every class, every comment, every email continues to shape how I think about spinning, and that is not going to change. I suspect this conversation in another 5 years would even be more so what I've already said, but like 20 million times more, like getting curious, knowing that you don't have all the answers. Why does this really work? And how can we understand that? Expanding our curiosity. It's all the same. It's just more and more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, we all learn together and grow our knowledge on an ongoing basis, because that's why we're all here. We want to create the yarns that really sing, that really make our hearts sing, that make us feel like that time at the wheel or the spindle was really worth it because we've created something we really love. And now we want to go out and use it and put it into some fabric. Maybe it's going to get stashed for a while. A lot of my yarns do. And that's totally fine, but my ultimate goal is to work with most of my yarns, and that's something that many of us in the community want to do, because honestly, space is a big issue for many of us. So if you would like to continue this conversation, please have a look in the down bar at the Patreon post I mentioned, the Start Here guide, as well as the post on Patreon with any links that I've mentioned throughout this little reflection. I hope that you got something out of it. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for being here with me and for choosing to spend some time with me. I want to just extend that invitation to you to come and see what we're all about. And until next time, happy spinning, happy making. Bye, everyone.